Leroy asking, what would it take for our offensive line to win the Best Offensive Line Group Award, which is the Joe Moore Award?
Not much. I mean, consistent performance to the level of their talent across the year. I mean, I've been saying, for a long time, I believe that this is a top two group in the country and might not be number two. This is an elite group with diverse players, incredible depth, skill, demonstrated performance, talent, incredible coaching, incredible development, incredible, recruiting, just all of the things that you would want to have in an offensive line. I thought that they were maybe overlooked last year because of Cam Ward, basically, taking all the spotlight, but it strains credulity to have the best offense in America and no mention of the offensive line. Sorry. And with all these highlights of Cam Ward sitting back there baking a cake and knitting a sweater live in the game, right? That didn't happen by happenstance. That happened because the guys up front did their jobs to a super uber elite level. So I thought that they were a little overlooked in terms of their performance and in terms of their performance last year. So, I think it will take, and I think that we're seeing it from now, but the additional part of that is, bro, you got to politic. You have to, you have to campaign. You have to have the propaganda machine out there. I know that we put up the website but the University of Miami in the middle of September or October for Cam Ward's Heisman campaign, right? It might have been October going November, but so they did that and they pushed all the highlights and the numbers every week and everything. They said, hey, this guy should be in consideration for the Heisman Trophy because of boom. I think that you start that yesterday. There's been pictures of, even putting that picture out of Samson Okunlola, right? And talking about, okay, well, the guys who are up for, individual awards, I love that great wall of Mirrorball, moniker. And you put that out there every week and you start that campaign to say, hey, especially because the majority of the time that people watch offensive line is when something's going wrong. It just is what it is. I get caught up ball watching on offense also. True story, right? So, but they do their job at a 99.9 success rate across these plays across a season, and it's like the way that you breathe and the way that your heart beats, right? There's a part of your brain that handles that. You don't think heartbeat now, heartbeat now, heartbeat now, heartbeat now. So you don't pay attention to that. And the offensive line is something akin to that, where they're always there doing their thing, but not being front and center in front of people's estimation, really. So taking it and putting them in front of people's eyes, saying, hey, we did this. The blocking did this. The run game did this. Look at how few times Carson Beck got touched. Look at the da-da-da-da-da. And that's because of the offensive line. So you start that from now, in addition to what I hope, turns out being excellent performance. So you put those things together, and then I think that puts the group in potential position for an award such as this. And just, when you have Francis Mauigoa, Anas Cooper, Markel Bell, the whole five, but those three specifically, if they continue to dominate individually and be, and elevate themselves into conversations for All-American, All-Conference, national awards, NFL draft, that then propels the group forward, because you're like, hey, I named three, and I know that there are five starters, but left tackle, right guard, who's one of the best developmental finds ever, and, a potential top 10 pick at right tackle, using those guys to highlight the performance of the collective.
And I also think another related component there is that there are no statistics for the offensive line, no traditional statistics for offensive linemen. Unlike any other position on the field, you got statistics for everybody else, not the offensive line. Therefore, if you don't plant the seed that this is one of the best offensive lines in the country, you don't have the dynamic of Joe Blow, running back for Wisconsin, who nobody has ever heard of, starts ripping off 150, 170-yard games. Well, within 3 or 4 weeks, he becomes known, and people are like, wow, this guy must be really good. Well, suddenly he becomes a somebody because you can look at a stat sheet and you can look at highlights. Offensive line, let's face it, nobody's breaking down offensive line tape. And some people will make that connection. Oh, this offense that we underrated is really explosive. Their offensive line must be really. A few people may make that connection, but very few. So you got to, the preseason. I notice it with all American, all conference teams. Sometimes guys will have somewhat marginal seasons, but they got a reputation. Or
you
vice
see that at
versa.
the high school level as well. Max Prep's All-American. And it's like, what? 32 catches for 655 yards and 6 scores. It's good. You know, I'm not saying it's bad, but All-American.
Or vice versa. Somebody can't get their way, and they're really, you talk to the coaches that had to play him, and like, that guy's really good, but had no rep going into the season.
Absolutely.